We asked and they listened. This is the new Brownells BRN-180 Gen 3 with all the new features that we asked for. We're gonna break it down and go over all the new stuff, what they improved, and why this is a really, really good setup. This is the previous generation BRN-180 that was inspired by the AR-180 in the 70s, and this is what Brownells came up with. And a lot of people asked for some updates, some changes to make it even better, so Brownells ended up making this thing. It's actually one of the things they improved on. So the back, as you can tell, flew out. There's no retention for that spring, which is really annoying. And one of the things that I requested, and actually we were gonna talk about this later in the video, but I guess we'll do it now. I added a pin up here that you actually lift up like that for it to unlock to be able to take that in and out. So as a nice addition there, where you're not chasing the internals of your rifle, which is a nice addition along with some of the other things here we're gonna talk about. One of the biggest being the fact that they added a non-reciprocating charging handle. Now you're gonna see on this side, it's gonna be on the right. They switched it to the left, which is a good addition because if you're a right-handed shooter, you had to go around kind of like an AK charge. With this, it's a lot more accessible. It's right on your left side. It's not as obnoxious as a charging handle. I just realized I said obnoxious really obnoxiously, but it's not annoying. Like the other charging handle kind of loops up, and it's a cool look, and I love it because like, aesthetically wise, it's sharp looking and I like that. But when you're looking for like functionality and modern and something that's really gonna work for you, I think this charging handle makes a lot more sense. Now with a reciprocating charging handle, every time you pull that trigger and the round goes off, that charging handle goes back and forth. And what's really annoying about that is you're always getting that movement with that. A lot of times like the SCAR or some reciprocating charging handles that are up front, they'll hit you right in the thumb and that hurts a lot. So that's always moving. With this, you don't have to worry about that charging handle move, and that's how they were able to move it to the left side, because when it was originally on the left side, if you were a right-handed shooter, that charging handle was going back and forth right up here in your face. That's why they put it on the right side, and if you were a left-handed shooter, the same problem. So now they moved it to the left, and it's non-reciprocating, so you don't have to worry about that moving. Now when these first came out, everyone really liked these setups because you don't have to have a buffer system. As you can see with this, you can have a folding stock adapter, you can put it in a bag, you can shoot it folded, everything is internal, or at least as it should be when it doesn't fly out of your gun. Everything's inside of the gun, so you don't have to worry about a buffer system. And that's one thing that really drew people to this system and what was really neat about it. And what I think really made Brownells BRNs so popular. Now, there were some other big issues, and one of them being the fact that with the older generation, you had an opening here. When your dust cover was up, you were okay, but when it drops down, you can introduce a lot of debris and material into the inside of your gun. Is that gonna cause a problem? Maybe not, but you don't want to have a big opening into your upper for that potential to happen. If you drop the gun, if you're running and it falls, or anything just to be introduced to it, it's just better not to have that. Now with this one, they fixed that by putting this rubber piece right here. So it's a closed, or at least a more closed system. You know, this side here, you can see completely closed off, and then you go to this side, completely closed off. So the ability to introduce something that's not supposed to be in there is a lot more difficult. Now, one thing I'm gonna say is, let's lock this back. How long is this rubber piece going to last after a long time of use? Now, I haven't had this a super long time. I've only had it for about a month prior to the release, which is great. Thank you, Brownells, for sending this out for me prior, so I was able to get it tested for you guys for a video review. So far, I've not had any damage or anything wrong with it, but it is something that I saw and I wanted to note. You know, that is where I see a weak point being. Now, I asked Brownells if this is just removable. It looks like there's some pins here, so it looks like you might be able to remove the pins and remove that piece. I will put in the comment here, or I'll pin it so you guys are aware of what that answer is. I don't have it at the time of filming, but that is something I can see being a problem later down the road. They did tell me that other brands use this and they don't have any problems, so that's good to know, but it is a nice addition having that and not having to worry about anything getting inside your upper while you're moving or if you potentially drop the gun. Now this one is chambered to 300 blackout. This is the 9-inch. They have a lot of different sizes and lengths and calibers. This is a 5.56. I believe it was like a 10-inch. And then they have 350 Legend, which I have one of those as well. Also, there's a way to save 13% on these, and that's really cool of Brownells, and it saves a ton of money because these are anywhere from about $700 to $900 depending on the one and style you get. So saving 13% is pretty significant and awesome. Now, there might be a way for you to find more information about that on my website, tacticalvisor.net. That is my personal website, and there's a lot of things on there, a lot of information. So if you were to check that out, you might be able to find out some more information potentially. So I would definitely look at that. Go to my website, tacticalvisor.net. There's a link in the description for you. Let's go down to the front of this gun. So this is a piston-driven system, and being that it's a 300 blackout piston-driven, these are really designed for a suppressor. So we got a JK Armament SBRX suppressor on the front of this, and this thing shoots incredibly well suppressed. And one of the big reasons is because you have that adjustable gas system that's really easily accessible to change. You're able to make your adjustments quickly, and if you take this off, you can make your adjustments back. If you put it back on, you can move them back very quickly. You don't have to remove your handguard. You don't have a special tool. You can use your finger and be able to make those adjustments. Get this tuned up exactly the way you want it. And I will break down this whole setup and why I chose this in a second. I want to finish all the updates and upgrades that they went with. This is a really big thing with companies, and something I'm critical of companies is when you get constructive criticism when you release a product, what you do after that as a company matters a ton to me. Now, it's one thing if you make a brand new product like the BRN-180. It was brand new, something new. There's going to be some mistakes and some things they wish they would have changed, and that's where Gen 2, Gen 3s come into play. And it all matters on how much you listen to your customer base. Now, a lot of customers complained about that reciprocating charging handle. They fixed it. They complained about the modernizedness of this gun. They were trying to obviously stay with that 70s gun and kind of keep with that look, and they did a really good job of it, and it's really cool. But I think people realize that this is actually a gun somebody would use for a purpose-driven gun, maybe a home defense. And with that, people are like, we want something that's more modern and more useful. So that's what Brownells did with this. They went ahead and listened to that customer base. They made the changes, and I really like that in a brand and a company that actually listens and makes those changes. Now, this one was made in 2020, added a bunch of calibers and barrel lengths in that time. And in 2024, they've come out with this one with those new features. Now, you've got a nice, sleek-looking handguard. You got M-LOK through there, and they added QD points on either side there on the handguard. And I really like that because I am big on having a sling on every gun that you own. For those of you that are familiar with the BRNs, these are compatible for any AR-15 lower. The nice thing is it doesn't matter. You don't have to have a buffer tube. So like this one's got the JMAC buffer tube on it. Well, it's not a buffer tube. It's a buffer. Well, yeah, it is a buffer tube. It's just not a tube. It's a buffer rectangle, maybe. A cut up rectangle, a skeletonized rectangle. But you could throw whatever buffer you want on it, or you can just throw your normal buffer tube and you're good to go. And they shoot fold. This one's a little bit tighter, but you could fold it just like that. Now, this is my hunting rifle, so it doesn't really have to be folded. I just did it because it was fun and I can, so why not? But this is the 350 Legend. So like I said, they have a lot of different calibers and options. This is a little bit longer of one because it's got a scope and it reaches out and touches a little bit farther. But the BRNs are a pretty sweet upper, and I'm really happy that Brownells is expanding this and making it more modern. Now, I'll break down this setup and what I have here because this is actually a gun that I might use as a purpose-driven gun, something for home defense and take with me for protection. Because at first, the BRNs were always fun. And I'd use it on the property and that wasn't a big deal, but I never set it up to be something more than that. Now this one in the 300 blackout, 9-inch barrel suppressor, got an IR device for night vision. And with the upgrades they did, I think this is now a really viable option for something I would put on a bag with me and take because it's nice because it's just small. You can take that suppressor off, real easily because I'm allowed to do that now on YouTube. People like Rumble don't care because Rumble's a sweet platform to be on. But now you have a really small platform and a setup, and you can put it in a bag like this, and then, if you need to, you can throw your suppressor on real quick and then slap your brace back, and now you have a really nice setup. And I've got a Mepro Light M22. Gonna be doing a review on this. This has a polarizer on here, which is kind of unique. You can be able to rotate that to change the settings of the darkness and brightness. And then you have tritium in here, so it's always on. There's no battery, but you bought the chunky addition to the side to allow you to have a battery. So it's kind of a really cool optic that you could buy a bunch of like Lego parts to make it even cooler. And then we got a new IR device. It's a brand new one that I'm testing. Gonna be doing a review on this one and probably some comparisons on budget IR, civilian IR, and this is a non-civilian style IR. So we'll be doing some videos on that. And then we've got the HRT Tactical flashlights. Those are incredible lights. I love those guys at HRT Tactical. I've got a handful of flashlights from them, body armor, plate carriers, a bunch of stuff from them, and I really like that. It's a great addition to this just because the way the BRNs are set up, it fits really good with this IR device. So that is the setup I chose. I really like it, and I'm gonna be testing this a lot more. Only shot about 150 rounds through this so far, so I haven't got a ton through it, so this is not my full review with my full thoughts. Just wanted to give you guys my initial thoughts because it's just released, and I figured a lot of you would be interested in it. So I hope this video is able to help you make a better purchase and decide if the BRN-180 Gen 3, the new version with the new upgrades, is worth your time upgrading, or if it's just something maybe it's not exactly what you're looking for. You can go with something else. It's always my goal to help you spend your money in the best way possible. And that's actually a good question. Is this worth upgrading from the Gen 2 or the Gen 1. Me personally, I do think this is worth upgrading. You know, sometimes when an upgrade comes out of a new generation, you're like, if I already have one, maybe wait. It's not that good. Or if you don't have one, then yes, get it. This, in my sense, with the upgrades they did, is definitely worth the upgrade if you are looking for something that you're really going to use. Now, if it's just a range toy, I don't think it really matters. You're still getting the same general concept, but if you actually want to use this as a purpose-driven gun or home defense, I definitely think the upgrades are worth the price of buying a new one. If you're looking at help with the channel and things I do here, the best way to do that is on my website, tacticaladvisor.net. I would love if you guys would go there. Shooting Targets USA, that's a steel target company, and they've been super supportive, and they are a big supporter of what I do here. I'd love if you guys would show them some love along with all the things there on my website. And then Howitzer Clothing, they donate 5% of proceeds to charity, which is super cool. And they have a Tactical Advisor shirt, and there's a link in the description for that. Other than that, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you later.